All right, we are live with Chef Misha, who is trying to dial in. She was actually with me the past few minutes, but there were a few issues. Okay, all right, Chef Misha is back with us. So we're going to give it a couple minutes as people are dialing in. Chef Misha is joining us from Guatemala, and I'm based in Los Angeles. We'll do the introduction in a minute, just to give some time for people to actually join in, and we're getting a little coffee in the meantime.
Of course.
All right. Thanks again for everybody to join in. We are broadcasting live on Facebook as well as YouTube at the same time. If you want to ask any question to Chef Misha during the live event, please feel free to do so in the comments, either on Facebook or on YouTube. And hi, Bianca. And we will be answering your questions as we go along. So do not hesitate to send questions. We will be monitoring them in the next hour that we will spend together. All right. I guess without further ado, thanks again for everybody to join in and to dial in as we are hosting this live event with Chef Misha. This is Mike Benayoun here from 196 Flavors. We are almost celebrating our 10th anniversary in October, so it will be exciting. In the meantime, we have a lot of exciting new events for you, and as usual, our monthly features featuring a country or a region every single month. And again, with us today, we have the pleasure of hosting Chef Misha, and I will let Chef Misha introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. It was such waiting for do these interviews for months. So I'm very excited to be here and to talk and introduce this little country called Guatemala. But it's an amazing country full of flavors, full of history, full of culture. And for me, it's one of the best things to do is talk about my country. So it's going to be a very good hour.
I'm sure it is. So if you can maybe tell us a bit more about you. You were born and raised in Guatemala, but you have some Greek roots as well. So that's interesting. If you can tell us about you, but also your family. You did not start. I guess your family has a history in the restaurant business, which is interesting too.
Yes, well, I was born in Guatemala and raised in Guatemala, but my dad is from Greece. He's from an island called Lesbos, Mytilene, and my mom is from Guatemala. So I have these amazing cultures, both Greek and Guatemalan. My father started actually the first restaurant. We're gonna be 29 years this year. 29 since the first restaurant started. So I was born in the pots and pans and in the kitchen, running around the kitchen and learning how to cook and how to smell, feel the flavors. And before my dad put the restaurant, that it's very amazing because it's a Guatemalan restaurant, and my dad is Greek because he fell in love with Guatemalan cuisine and Guatemalan flavors. And when I was little, growing up, my grandmother used to take us to the market to shop for all the ingredients so she can cook. So it was so amazing to go to these amazing markets, but not a supermarket, a local market, and to feel the fruits, the herbs, the smells, and she tell and teach us with my brothers everything about cooking. So I fell in love with cooking since I was very little.
That's great. So as we start talking about the cuisine, what I wanted to do is first talk about Guatemala as a country and kind of situate it for people who may not familiar with it. So Guatemala is a country of Central America, of course, with borders with Mexico, Belize, Honduras, El Salvador. It is a big country, but it's tiny compared to Mexico. It's like, I think, 1/20th of the size of Mexico. But can you tell us a bit more maybe about the country? And we have a couple slides to talk about it as well.
Well, actually, Guatemala, yes. If you compare it to Mexico or Canada or the United States, we're tiny. But remember that we came from Mesoamerica. And when the history, what teach us is that Mesoamerica didn't have any borders, and it was the low part of Mexico, Guatemala, Salvador, and Honduras. So it was a huge amount of land and territory with I always said that Mesoamerica is one of the most important, I don't know the name in English, but alacenas, when you store all the ingredients.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. But Mesoamerica is rich in ingredients and history and culture. So we're part of that. So now we're little, but we're huge in history.
I know you are. So I also want to talk about the country itself. So when we talk about the country, there's, I think, about 22 different departments. Pétain, which I'm sure we'll talk about as we talk about the cuisine, is about a third of the country, but it's probably the least populated area because it's lowland and there's a lot. It's not the most populated, but it's a third of the country. And then you have 21 departments, one of them being Guatemala, which is where the capital is. And we'll talk about the different regions here. One thing which is interesting to note, and I'll let you talk, is the fact that there's really three big regions, probably from a gastronomy perspective as well. On the coast, obviously, you're going to have a lot of fish, and we'll talk about the different dishes. Then the highlands, and then the lowland, like I talk about, which is where Pétain is. And those are probably the three regions when we talk about cuisine. Can you tell us more about, maybe at a high level, like what are the differences between those regions when it comes to the cuisine?
Well, actually, each region is very different, even though we have a lot of the same ingredients, but they're cooked different, and almost you will find tomatoes and hot peppers in every region, in every dish, but the flavor is completely different from each dish. And remember that we have a 366 microclimates in Guatemala, but you can find in one little region 300. So it's amazing. So when you go, like, we're drinking coffee, right? Why Guatemala has one of the most amazing coffees in the world, one of the best coffees in the world, because of the microclimates. And the land give us this. In one piece of land, you will find different kinds of coffee and an amazing quality of coffee. And it's because of that. So that's one of the amazing things about our land.
That is true. And when we talk about the different ingredients, we will obviously discover, like, obviously coffee is a big crop over there. But one thing I want to talk about is kind of the evolution of the cuisine, and which is really marked and influenced by three different periods, right? I mean, the pre-Columbian, so the Mayan influence, then obviously the Hispanic influence coming from the Spanish colonization, and then the most recent influence for probably the past couple centuries with the independence of Guatemala. So can you tell us about, kind of the evolution of the cuisine and also the ingredients that were introduced throughout history?
Oh my God, yeah. If only to talk about pre-Columbian cuisine, we will need like 3 episodes.
Yes.
But I think pre-Columbian cuisine is so amazing because each ingredient and each dish has a huge history. So the Mayas, we came from the Mayan root. We only have 2 ethnias. I'm sorry if I don't know all the words in English.
No, it's totally fine. 2 different ethnic people within the Mayan.
That are not Mayas, that are the Xincas and the Garífunas. But then we came from the Mayan root. And the ingredients that were used in those dishes are the tomatoes and the hot peppers. So when you go to see the history and you go to see all these legends and popular sayings, you will see one of the most important dish that was called chirmol. And the chirmol, it's only a mixture of tomatoes and hot peppers. But our cuisine, it's spicy but not hot. I don't know if you understand the difference that I'm trying to say.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, so it's all these amazing flavors with the herbs, with the hot peppers, with the fresh ingredients, and when you start to tasting them, you said, "Oh my God, how can this taste so good with only 3 ingredients, 4 ingredients?" And the pre-Columbian cuisine was that. So
There's a couple other ingredients that obviously have shaped the pre-Columbian cuisine, which is from the Maya, which is
when the
maize.
Spanish came, they introduced us and they gave us the Guatemalan cuisine from now. That it's they came with the garlic, with the onion, with sugar, with chicken, cow, pork. So
And I think you mentioned to me when we talked that those were meats that were not really used before. So what kind of meats did the Mayan eat?
They were not used because we didn't have them in the territory. But iguana, they used to iguana, deer, ¿qué otra cosa? Tepezcuintle. I don't know the name in English in that.
Yeah, it's an ancient animal. I looked it up. It's for me. It looks like
it's like
a
this.
boar.
It has like a lot of spines. I don't know, but it's called tepezcuintle. Shrimps. It's when you go to the. I love to make history. Teach me a lot of cooking. So when we were shooting the TV show and we mixed the archaeological sites with cooking, I hook up with a lot of anthropologists and historians. And it was so amazing for me to discover for me and to get out of the shape that we used to go when we were as a chefs. We cook and we don't know. We said, no, we have to get the ingredient done perfectly. But what about the history of that ingredient, you know? So I went to different graves of Mayan graves, and they teach us a lot of things about food. And we went to a Mayan grave from the Red Queen in Copan, and it was a recipe of an offering.
On the grave or?
Yes, and it was a clay pot, and in that clay pot was a rest of cacao, peppers, tomatoes, and shrimps. So imagine that. And that was the offering to the queen that just died so she can go to heaven with one of the best feasts, you know, the best feasts. So when you think about that how food was so important, like a pepper, allspice pepper, the
Peppercorn.
the round one, allspice, I think it's.
Oh, you're talking about the black peppercorn, or you're talking about the allspice?
The pepper, the black pepper, the round one, we call it black allspice.
Allspice, okay.
Yes, they put it in the grave so they can go to the infra world or the next life. So food was not only to feed yourself, but food had a lot of meaning for the Mayans, and that's an amazing thing when you discover that, because your mind starts to pop up and you said, okay.
And so talking about food and the Mayans, one thing I read as well is they thought that corn, maize, was how humans or humanity was born, and humans were born.
In Spanish, we have a saying that says, Guatemalans somos hombres y mujeres de maíz. We are men and women made from corn.
Yes.
And when you read the Popol Vuh, that it's the ancient book of the Mayas, it explains to you how corn is so much important. It has been different kinds of corn. The black represents like the beginning and the end. The yellow represents light and hope, and the red represents the beginning of life, and it represents everything because it represents the conception of life.
Right.
And I'm missing one.
The purple?
No,
No,
black,
that's white.
red,
White?
white. And the white represents the to have the harvest from the next season. And that's one that is the simple one. But then you have a huge explanation how we are made from corn. Like the black one signifies the soul, so it's, you have to read it because it's very complex. But
And now it looks like I have to read it. So transitioning, talking about corn, which is obviously one of the base crop of the Mayan culture and cuisine in Guatemala. What can you tell us about corn? And obviously talk about tamales. Guatemala is the land of tamales, or with Mexico as well, of course. I think you mentioned to me that there's probably more than 200 or 300 different kinds of tamale recipes. What can you tell us about tamales?
Corn has been one of the most important food from our people from centuries. So tamales, I cannot say that tamales are from Guatemala. I'm not saying that, but we have the most ancient explanation about tamales in a drawing that it's in Holmul in Petén.
Yep.
When you enter that grave, because it's a grave, and when you enter that grave, it's an amazing picture that has the colors, the original colors, posted in that wall. And you see a king that is reborn as a god. And in the bottom, you will see two gods with this sign that it means an offering. And in the bottom of the hand, it's a pot of tamales. And it has the sign of Nahuac, that means first tamal. So they are offering the king that is reborn as a god a tamal. So it was the first dish that they give the humans after the conception of the world.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine how a tamal, because in Guatemala, we have more than 236 kinds of tamales that we know. But on Sundays, it's like the tradition to eat a tamal. So imagine how that changed. The tamal that my grandmother, my tabelita, my grandmother make with all that love for me, changed, and it has a new perception.
Yep.
Because they say that the tamal was the first things the gods gave the humanity to eat before the preconception of the world. So it was like
It has a lot more meaning than just food. It's not just a crop. Obviously, as we discussed, it has much more spirituality behind it. Talking about tamales, one thing I wanted to note is the fact that tamales in Guatemala are slightly different than in Mexico, for example, where they are wrapped with typically with banana leaves. What I understand also is you also have tamales that are wrapped with corn husk, but they're called chichitos.
Yes, no, and we have tamalitos de cambray, chuchitos. We have a lot of them that are wrapped, and we have tamales that are wrapped in a leaf that it's called canac.
Sí.
And another leaf that it's called Santa Maria. So I think that tamal it's something that you grab on. That's why we have so much. But the flavor change. That's like the tamal from Christmas or Saturdays.
Correct. I mean, we talked on Christmas. I think you make tamales colorados, negros.
Tamales colorados. My family, we make the tamales colorados, and it's like a tradition to make those tamales for. And it has the Spanish. When the Spanish came, we put like the olives and all the things that they bring us. And in the sauce, we put garlic. We put a lot of things. The sesame seed, it was one of the most important ingredients that we use from the Spanish that they gave us.
Got it. So we just talked about Christmas, and I wanted to also spend a little time on talking about some festive recipes, typical dishes that are made for specific occasions. One we discussed, which is very interesting, is called fiambre, and this is a dish that is made on Dia de los Muertos, or All Saints in English. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, fiambre is made from the November 1st, and it's from El Día de Todos los Santos. And it's an amazing dish because it has, for me, a lot of meaning, because you cook for the ones that are not with us in flesh and bone, you know, so only in memories. So you cook for them, and it's a day to remember. It's a very special day to remember all those friends and family that we loved. And the family start cooking, like my grandmother, she started making fiambre for like 4 months ahead. Because
not the ingredients that we see on picture, but I think more like the dressing, right? Or
yes,
maybe the cold cuts.
Like fiambre has like 60 ingredients. Yes, 60 ingredients. And each family has their own recipe. There is not one recipe, but the secret is in el caldillo. The caldillo is like the dressing. And my grandmother started making the caldillo 4 months before the fiambre.
So is her caldillo secret, or can you share some of the ingredients that she's using?
Actually, I have like 6 series of different kinds of caldillos in my social media, and my grandmother used to make it with she loved the vegetables and chicken, so she started making the caldillo with the vegetable broth, and they put some mustard, daphne leaves, I don't know, laurel.
Sí, laurel.
Well, I thought it in Greek. Daphne, it's in Greek. Imagine that. I'm sorry.
Sí, laurel.
But,
or bay leaves.
Yeah, but they make it from different ingredients. We have the green caldillo, the red caldillo that is made with the beet juice, the white caldillo. My grandmother made both, red and white, because my brother loves white and I love red. So.
But you can just put the caldillo or the dressing on your plate, or
no, you have to make 2 because you have to put it maybe 2 nights before, so it absorb all the flavor, because it's 60 ingredients, and there's a different kinds of to make the fiambre. The fiambre is like this huge salad, and it has the German
influence.
The German that came because of the sausages. It has like a lot of sausages in it, and a lot of vegetables.
And a lot of cold meats in general, like charcuterie.
Yeah, like 60 ingredients. Imagine that.
But obviously, every fiambre recipe might not have the 60 ingredients, but some are going to use.
But almost.
Yeah,
almost. When you start counting, it's like 40, 45, 50, 60 or more. And it's amazing to see how one dish unites the family. Because in that day, I don't know a family that doesn't get together. So that's, for me, what it's important. And my brother loves it so much that he grabs a plate and put it in the fridge. And he starts like taking out, and it's February, and he continued to eat fiambre.
Interesting. So another one, I know we talked about tamales, but I wanted to bring this one up that I found, and maybe you can tell us about it. This is a very special kind of tamale, but it's not made with corn, from what I understand, right?
No, pache is from Quetzaltenango. Quetzaltenango is the one of the second biggest city in Guatemala, and it's an amazing place to go. When you go, you will not only love the gastronomy, but you will love the people. The people in Quetzaltenango, it's so caring and loving. And they cook patches on Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday is the day to eat the patches. And they're made with rice and potato and one hot pepper that it's that's a little bit hot, spicy and hot, actually. But the flavor of the sauce we call it recado. Our sauces in Guatemala we call it recados. But when you start eating it, it's melt in your mouth, and you will feel the potato. You will feel the flavor of the rice, very small, but the peppers and the tomatoes of the sauce. It's
So in this tamale, there is no meat in this one.
Yes, they put meat in it.
Oh, they put meat as
can
well.
put meat, or it depends to you, but they put chicken in it.
Got it.
And one of the things that I learned when I went to Quetzaltenango to learn how to make patches is that they invite all the women in the family, and they have special jobs, since the little one to the biggest one. And you will see like the grandmother, like like an orchestra. Do you know the orchestra, the symphony?
Yes.
That is like they're directing what to do. Like the smallest one clean the leaves, the other one cut the chicken, the other one the tomatoes, the other one make the sauce.
And so that happens every Thursday?
Yes, when they make the patches. And one of the most amazing things is that when they start preparing the pot to cook it, they arrange it so beautiful to cook. It's not like you put it in the pot and you cook it. No, it has like a special kind of treatment in the pot, and they put it so beautiful, and they cover with the banana leaves, and one single lady has to stay in the checking the pot to see they're okay. They say that if she leaves, the patches will not cook.
And why a single lady? You said why a single?
Yes, I know it's a tradition.
Tradition.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So she starts like, and she comes and she gets around the pot for 2 hours so they can cook. And it's I love to make that show that time, because it was such an amazing thing to see what cooking brings us, not only food from the body, but food from the soul.
Totally.
Everything
is associated with a tradition.
Yes.
I wanted to start talking about some regional dishes and some differences that we already discussed in terms of the three regions, one being the coastal region. We talked mostly about the Pacific side, but there's also a little bit on the Caribbean side. And an interesting dish from there, I don't know if you can tell us anything about it, but is tapado, which is a dish from a city called Livingstone. But it's very interesting because it comes from a people called Garifuna, which is not just in Guatemala, but also in Honduras. If you can tell us more about this dish and the people as well.
Well, actually, Livingstone, when you go there, it's in the Caribbean, and you can pass Rio Dulce, that it's beautiful. You will find the green Caribbean of Guatemala, and you will pass to the lake. And when you go there, it's such a festive place to go.
So Livingstone is actually here, and as you can see, there's not a long.
It's near Izabal. And when you go to Livingstone, you will see the Garifuna ethnia stay there. And it's like the place to go to eat Garifuna and to live the Garifuna lifestyle, And when I was shooting the show, we made the tapado. But do you know that before I start telling you what is that dish, they have a song for each dish that they cook. And you will see all the ladies singing with these amazing, colorful dresses, cooking. And it's amazing to see that. But tapado, it's a seafood soup, but they put it coconut milk, green plantain, and laurel y tomillo. I don't know the name in English.
Tomillo, thyme?
Thyme, yes. Thank you. You're my Google translator.
I started learning Spanish a few months ago. I know a few words. Talking about the Garifuna, it's an interesting people because they actually come from Nigeria, brought as slaves. And it's interesting because what I read about them is they kind of got stranded in St. Vincent and eventually were brought to Honduras and the coast of Central America.
Yes, but they stayed there in Livingston. And when you go there, it's 100% Garifuna town. And as I go there to research all this cuisine, I found not only the tapado, but the coconut bread. Oh my God, it's such a delightful I cannot eat one. I actually eat like, it was hot and I cannot eat one. I start like eating all the bread.
Is it made with yeast? Is it raisin?
Yes,
or, yeah.
It's made with yeast and with the coconut. But when they have like a special wood to put the coconut, to do it like that, to get all the meat of the coconut,
yeah.
And they start making and singing, and they start making the coconut milk. So you will see how they make the coconut, the fresh coconut milk, and they use the meat of the coconut. They don't waste anything because ¿cómo se dice? La cáscara,
not the peel, the
for all that are looking,
the outside, the
yes,
outer,
it's the hard thing of the coconut, the shell.
The shell.
The shell. It's very hard to explain in other language.
Especially when your mind is stuck on one language.
Yes. But the shell, they use it to make fire. The fire to cook.
Yep.
Then they put the pot. They make the bread with the meat of the yes, and the milk. And they start making this bread, and they put it like an oven because they put the top of the pot and put more of the shell of the coconut and a little bit of fire, and they start cooking in a low temperature. It's like a homemade oven.
Yeah.
So, but they don't waste anything.
Very interesting. So I'm going to pause for 10 seconds. I know we have a few people, actually, I'm reading the comments, people from all over the world, from Paris. Hi, Annie. David from Florida, Muriel from Ottawa, Canada, and a neighbor, Carlo from Guadalajara in Mexico.
I love Mexico.
So if you have any question about what we discussed so far, please feel free to comment either on Facebook or on YouTube. And it will be a pleasure for us to answer any question that you may have. So feel free to send your comment anywhere, again, on Facebook or on YouTube. Another dish I wanted to talk about is subanik, which is one of the national dishes, which from what I understand is from the region of the capital city, right? The Guatemala department. No, it's not. Okay.
No, subanik. Actually, it's one of my favorites. Subanik, it's from San Martín, Jilotepeque. It's when you go to the city, you have to go like to Antigua, but you don't cross. You keep straight, like if you're gonna go to the Lake Atitlan. And
but it's in another department than Guatemala?
What?
What department is it? Do you know?
Zacatepeques, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay. I was
but
just
it's
curious.
called San Martín, Jilotepeque. And it's a very small town. and it's amazing to see. It actually, I always say that is one of my favorites. Everything is my favorite, but the magic, the day that we went to shoot this dish, it was so magical because we didn't knew that it was the day that they celebrate the saint of San Martin. So when we get there, every family make subanik, that it's the same ingredients, but every family has like a little secret recipe.
Of course.
And they make an atol, that it's a drink made from corn, that is called atol de pelotas. I never heard that in my life. And I was like, what? I say, I have to shoot that. And
It's not made with corn? This one?
yeah, it's made with corn, but it's made atol de pelotas, it's called. And it's made with corn, but they make these little round balls with corn and sugar and cinnamon, and they cook it like it was a gnocchi. You know, they put it in the atol, and when it pops up, it's done.
Is it eaten as a drink or as a soup?
Yes, as a drink.
But you still have to, like those dumplings you eat, right?
Yes, because the drink, it doesn't have any flavor, only the corn, but the little round balls has the flavor with the cinnamon, the cordoncillo, that is like a spice, and the sugar. So you like grab a piece of that little corn ball and you drink it. And
so
I never heard that in my life.
I'm a very, very big fan. It's totally, obviously it's not from Guatemala, but I love boba, and it's very popular right now. But it reminds me of boba, except it's made with tapioca instead of corn.
Yeah, but it was such an amazing thing because we didn't knew about that, and that's the amazing of getting out and know your country and know your roots, that you will find that some kind of surprise. But subanik is one of the most important dishes in our country. It means a red tamal or hot tamal. Suban ik. The word ik means hot or red. So that's why you have kakik, subanik, a lot of dishes with that ending, ik, in Maya.
Yeah, and so subanik, can you tell us about the ingredients beside tomato, of course?
No, actually, that's the sauce, the recado of subanik doesn't have any Spanish roots. It's pre-Columbian.
Pre-Columbian, okay.
It only has tomatoes and hot peppers.
Yeah.
That's the only two ingredients, but a lot of hot peppers are like 9, and different kinds of tomatoes. And then and then they add the evolution of that dish. It's that they put chicken, cow, and pork. But the amazing thing is that when you cook all these red peppers and the tomatoes, you cook it in a little bit of water. Then they have the stone, and then they make this sauce. Well, I do it in a processor, but it's easy. But then they make a big flour of the banana leaves and the machan leaves. And they start making this flour, and we have this little...
it's a string.
String. And we call it like a spider. Like a spider in the bottom. Yep. So they put the meats and the sauce, and they grab it and make a pot. They make a pot of the banana leaves, and they pray before they start cooking it. They pass incienso. I don't know that word. Incense. I don't know it in English.
Incense.
Incense. Thank you.
Incense.
I'm learning. And they pray when they are cooking it for the land that provide the ingredients, the hands that make the dish, and the people that will eat it. So they are plenty and satisfied. So it's such a beautiful thing to do. And when you see, you can find it in my social, you will find the video, and you watch Doña Marta and Doña Maria with the colorful of their blouses, and it matched perfectly with the dish. It matched perfectly with the love. They're such loving people, and when they cut that banana leaf, and it opens like an amazing flower, and you will start feeling the smell, and you say, "Oh my God!" Because I thought the smell will be like a barbecue, because you say, okay, barbecue, they put it in leaves, and they make barbecue in land. But no, it's very different. And the meaning is, they say that it's the food of the kings in past times. If you were a king, you eat this dish. And
Very
when you
interesting.
mix it with aguacate and the tamal, the white tamal,
Aguacate being avocado.
avocado, yeah. And you mix, I always add the avocado and the white tamal. It's such a festive to your mouth. I hope
It looks
that
like
I
it.
can
I actually
describe
made
it.
it. I
Yeah,
did make
I
that.
hope I can describe it as good as it tastes.
Yes. No, I mean, I tested it when I made it for the site, and it is wonderful. You mentioned the root ik, and there's a lot of dishes that ends in ik because it means spicy or hot. There's another one I wanted to talk about also is kakek, which is
Yeah.
another famous one.
Yes, of course. It's one of the 6 dishes that the government put as patrimonio intangible of Guatemala. That I think they have to put all the gastronomy as that. But caquic is from another region that I love. That it's Alta Verapaz, and it's an amazing dish because it represents the it's in honor of the Kekchis warriors. So when they make kakik, it's made from turkey. Turkey was one of the things that the meat that the Mayas used to cook
Before, yeah, before they got into beef and so on, that was one of the original meats with the
Yeah,
evening eye
yeah,
on
it
it.
was one of the original meats, and it's so important for our culture, Turkey, and it's in the drawings, it's in a lot of things, Turkey. But this is made, of course, it's had a huge evolution with the Spanish when they came, because now it has garlic and a lot of different seeds and a lot of ingredients that came with the Spanish. But the amazing thing is that they make this soup for a festivity that it's called Paavan. And the Paavan, they have to invite the whole town. Imagine that. It's a huge festivity, and you will see all the ladies make thousands of pots of kakik. And
Do they have a contest or for the best
no,
one?
no, no. It's only to celebrate the Paavan. And we have a saying that says, Los de Cobán solo comen y se van. In English, it means people from Cobán only eat and they left. And we thought, oh my God, that's rude. But it has a meaning. And the meaning is that when you invite the whole town to eat, they drink the soup, and they kept the turkey and the tamal in the leaf, and they make space from the next people to eat.
Got it.
So it makes sense, of course, when you have thousands of people waiting to eat. And the flavor of this dish, I cannot describe it because it's so much powerful in your mouth. And it has one ingredient that it's called samat. It's a herb. It's like cilantro, but a big one. And it has to have samat to be kakik.
Got yeah, and sometimes it's not. I don't know if it's exactly what we call in English. It's not very common, but it's called either long cilantro, like you said, or culantro,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
also
I
used
think
in.
so. Well, here it's called samat. Actually, we have our own plantations of samat because this is one of the most sell in the restaurant, kakik, and it's amazing. And do you know that in that region they grow an amazing vanilla and coffee and cacao.
All right, we're talking
And
about the different.
achote, that's another interesting ingredient.
Which one?
Achote.
Achote, see,
Yeah.
anato, or see, it's a
It's a
seed.
seed. Yeah,
Yes,
it's a
very,
seed.
very hard seed.
Yeah, but they make a paste and it's red. The Colombians use it a lot of too.
Yes.
And Mexico use it a lot of too. But
It doesn't have
achote,
a lot of flavor though. It's kind of earthy, but it's more like for the color.
yeah, it's more for the color. But when you see how they make this paste, it's amazing because they put the achote in water and they start heating it. And they start mixture and it paste in the walls of the pot. And that's the thing that they're grabbing and that's how they make the paste.
One thing I wanted to ask you, and maybe you can confirm, but it doesn't look like, again, from a lot of the recipes that I've done and also read about, you guys don't use a lot of oil. It looks like the meat is already, it's cooked without oil, like from the beginning, or very little. But obviously there's spices and so on, but not so much oil. Is that true?
In these days, no, we use oil to cook. But like suanik, no.
Yeah.
Because suanik, you cook it in the sauce. Pepian, actually, no. Pepian, we have to grill the ingredients. That's like the secret of a good pepian. It's to grill the ingredients. The tomato, the peppers, everything has to be grilled. Suanik, no. Suanik, it's a steam. You know, but we don't fry the chicken or anything. No, we cook it in the sauce.
In the sauce, yeah.
Yes, we cook the sauce.
Another dish we discussed when we last talked, and we talked about the atoll or the drinks with the corn. There's another interesting drink which is not just known in Guatemala, but which is called chicha. And there's an interesting dish where you actually cook the gallo or the hen in chicha. Can you,
Yes.
or can you tell, not hen, the rooster, sorry, in chicha?
Yes, chicha for us, it's not a drink, it's a dish that it's called gallo and chicha. I'm gonna actually tomorrow I'm gonna send you a picture of. I have to make, so I'm gonna send you the
All right.
picture. I'm gonna make a video this week so we can make chicha. But this dish is so rich because it's like sweet and sour. You know, the ingredients are. You have to make a ferment. You have to ferment it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Pineapple, cinnamon, anise, a fruit that it's called jocote, maicillo, that I don't know the word that in English.
I don't know.
Yeah, maicillo, it's like a little corn, like this, very, very, very small maicillo. Well, it has a lot of ingredients, cloves and everything. So you let that set for weeks. And then you make a sofrito with hot peppers, onions, and tomatoes, and you start cooking the hen. And then you mix the fermented, the chicha, that's called the chicha, and you mix it and you make this amazing sauce. And it's so like sweet and sour because of the pineapple, but with the hen and the spices. Oh my God. And
It's very, very unique. Yeah, it's very different.
It's very unique. And
you
the
have to.
important thing of this dish is that when a baby is born, they make this dish. So imagine that. It's a dish that celebrates life. So it has to be good. So we make it to celebrate life.
There's a lot of traditional dishes, not just in Guatemala, that take so long to prepare, that are mostly made for celebrations, whether it's festivals, but also like birth or death sometime.
Yes.
So
Pulque. They make pulque too when a baby is born or somebody dies. Or
I wanted to talk about pulque. So we have an image of pulque. If you can tell us about pulque, since we're talking about it.
well, actually, pulque it's like 3 months ago, I went to Jalapa, and it was such a surprise because I went there to research about the Xinca food. And I told you that the Xinca are not Mayan roots. And I didn't knew a lot about the Xincas. And I didn't expect to find pulque there. But it was very different from the pulque that I tried in Quiche, in another part.
Yep.
It was very different. And I didn't expect that because it was so much with herbs. And it's a very simple recipe, but with a lot of richness in the flavor. And
What are the main ingredients for this dish?
corn, they put the masa, the corn made, but in a, when
Flour.
I don't know how to say masa.
The flour, the corn flour, it's like powder.
Yeah, but it's not powder. They make it with the water and
With water, so it's the dough.
yeah, the dough. Thank you. I love you. And they make this dough, and they start putting the chicken or the beef, the meat that they will cook. Sometimes they do it with hen, and they put this dough and cilantro, pepitoria, different kinds of seeds, and they put carrots and vegetables there. You can find it there in my social too, because it was such an amazing thing to see that they were cooking 3 things at a time, so we can have the full experience. And it was not only the pulque, but it was an atol de 3 cocimientos, atol de 3 cocimientos, 3-time cooking atol.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because they cook it 3 times. And the jurum beans and the tortillas for the pulque, it was such interesting thing to see. They mix the corn with guineo. Guineo, it's a little banana.
Okay.
I never saw that in Guatemala until then. And they mix the corn for the tortillas with the guineo, so the tortillas were a little bit sweet.
Do you know where this comes from, or?
I asked them because they are such a, oh my God, they were like an encyclopedia. These ladies, these old ladies, they were like this huge amount of knowledge. Right. And I thought it will be like the Maya ceremony when we get there. I saw all the ingredients in the floor, and I thought, okay, the Mayas make this ceremony with the candles and the corn and the petals of the roses and sugar and coffee. They start water. Water is very important, but it was a very different kind of ceremony. They pray to the nature. It was more mind-blowing.
How far is it from the capital, this area?
An hour and a half.
Okay, so it's not too far.
It's very close. And I didn't expect to find all this information, and the pulque, it was such different from the pulque that I knew. The pulque that I knew, it was more thick, and they make it for a wedding. No? And it's like kind of a soup, like a chicken soup, but more thick.
Got it. That's the difference.
It's not a chicken soup. Please don't think it's only to put it in your mind that it's served like a chicken soup, but it's not a chicken soup. Yeah. But it's to serve it like a soup, but it's more thick. But here in Jalapa, it was more a lot of more herbs and not that thick. And you eat it with the hurum beans and the atol.
Very,
I
very
ate
different.
5 tortillas that day.
So we have about a couple minutes left. I wanted to again ask the viewers if there's any question before we wrap up. So again, whether on Facebook or YouTube, if you have any question, feel free to ask them in a comment for Chef Misha. We'll stay a couple more minutes as questions come in. While we're waiting, talking about the country, I know when we interviewed you for the 196 Flavors, we asked about the different regions we mentioned a few, of course. There's one that you mentioned, which I can't remember the name of the lake, but not too far from the capital city, which is surrounded by 3 volcanoes.
Atitlan! Atitlan!
Yes.
When Andrew Zimmer came to Guatemala, we went to Atitlan and he get in love with Atitlan.
It looks beautiful.
Yes, it's amazing. If you want to have the most beautiful vibe, you have to go to Atitlan.
It looks from the picture like blue lake, like very,
yes,
very.
I think it's one of the most amazing lakes of the world, and I'm not kidding. And
Right.
when you go there, you have to eat patin. It's one of the traditional foods that it's this dry fish or dry shrimp, and the sauce, it's the chirmol that I told you that the Mayas did, that it was only with peppers and tomatoes. And they cook it in this very thick sauce and they put it in the leaves, the banana leaves. So they can take it with them when people get to work, and they eat it with the tortilla.
Tortillas. So
yeah,
it's an actual, it's a snack or it's more like a main course? It looks
it's like a course. It's like
a snack.
They put it. No, they make it so people can go to work and they eat it like the main course.
Oh, like the main course. Okay. All right.
Yeah. It's very, very amazing. There's another soup that I love from there, that it's a crab soup with chipilin. Chipilin is a herb. And they only put the crab, or if they don't have crabs, they put the little fish, but we made it with crabs. And the lady grabbed the tomato and squeezed it with the hands like this, put it there, put a little bit of hot peppers that it's called chiltepe, that they're not spicy, but a lot of richness in flavor, a little bit of that, drop of lemon, and the chipilin. Only that. And it was wow.
It's all about the right ingredient and the fresh ingredients, but sometimes you don't need a lot to do to make a recipe. We have a question actually from David, and I'll let you read it. Are the tomatoes different when grown near the volcanoes? Are there different types of tomatoes?
We have different kinds of tomatoes. I don't know if they're different near the volcanoes, but I'm gonna ask a special producer. I have a producer of tomatoes. I will ask him, and David, I promise that I will.
I was actually interested.
The tomatoes here, because I go to cooking a lot of places in the world, and tomatoes here in Guatemala are more like sweet tomatoes, and the green tomatoes are more acid.
Acid.
Yeah, but the like the pear tomato, when you taste it, it has that kind of sweetness.
Yeah, talking about I think that what we call the tomatillo in Mexico and the US is what you call tomate. It's tomate. But from what I read, they're not even from the same family. They're not even tomatoes, even if you call them tomatoes.
Yeah, and I love them to mix it in salads and to make it different, because here we're used to only use it for sauce, a recado that it's called jocon. And jocon, it's made with it represents the earth, because it's made with all the green, parsley, cilantro, the green of the onion, the bell pepper, the green bell pepper, and tomate, this mil tomate, and green tomato, green pear tomato. But when you taste it, it's amazing the texture of that dish, because it's like a buttery but very herb and very light. It's an amazing dish. I always say that it's an amazing dish, but you have to come to eat to Guatemala, everybody.
I guess that's, I haven't had a pleasure.
I wait for you here, and you can come here with me.
That's definitely on my bucket list now. I haven't had the pleasure of visiting your country just yet, but this is definitely something I'll keep in mind. If there's no more question, thanks again, David, for the question, and thanks, Chef Misha, for the answer. In 1 minute, if you have to summarize about the gastronomy of Guatemala and the country itself, Chef Misha, it's all yours before we wrap up.
Yes, I think that when you come to Guatemala, you will find amazing people, amazing landscapes, and every time that you eat Guatemalan cuisine, you will eat culture and history, because each ingredient and each dish has a history. And we are very proud to be Mayan Ruth. We are very proud to the cuisine that we have these days and the evolution of the cuisine that we have, because now we have an amazing kinds of new Guatemalan cuisine restaurants that you can visit too if you want a most modern cuisine. But when you go to the different little towns of Guatemala, you will get in love with each one. And that's what we want, that you to come to visit us. And please, I promise, this is a very, very important promise that I'm going to make, that you will not regret it.
I know I will not, and we're not too far, from Los Angeles. It's probably like 4 hours to get to Guatemala, so definitely not far. Thank you so much again, Chef Misha, for joining us today and telling us about your beautiful country and wonderful cuisine. For most of us who were not really that familiar with the cuisine from this smaller country, but thank you again so much.
Thank you, because we need these kind of spaces so everybody can learn that Central America, it's amazing to visit. When you think about Latin America, not only think about Mexico and
South America.
Central America, we're small but amazing. So come and visit not only Guatemala, but you can visit all the beautiful countries in Central America.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Chef Misha. Have a wonderful
Thank you so much.
Sunday.
And thank everybody.
And we'll talk soon. Thank you again. Bye.